everyone, and this is the first of what I'm going to start doing now is match reviews. We'll try and do it every Sunday night. If not, I'll do it after my live on Monday. But this is going to be the first of a series of match reviews, and our first game of the season was away to Stevenage. Many of you were there. Great to see so many County fans following the team on the road. Stevenage would be the kind of place we'd take just over 100 people to usually, so to see over 450 County fans there, absolutely superb. Just goes to show that the support may not dwindle out from the back of the Notts County last game of the season last year, but plenty of course to be positive about with regards to the team's performance, individual performances. The only individual performance that disappointed is one that we wouldn't expect to be repeated, so I'm not going to get too worried about Scott Bennett's performance, because there were a few people saying some pretty bad things about him, and fair enough, they were warranted on the back of that one performance. But if you look at every performance he's ever put in a county shirt, I think on the build up to this, he can certainly be forgiven for putting in one bad one. Obviously, if not for his mistakes, it's undated that we would have more than likely had won that game. But we started the season against a promotion outsider away, who usually beat us at that ground. Every time I've ever been at that ground, we've always lost. So for me, I'd say for us to come out of that game with a draw, especially with the character that we showed to come back from 3-1 down to draw 3-3. It's so positive. You look at the stats of the game, we blew them out. We beat them on possession, shots on goal, corners, everything. We had their backs against the wall, and they profited on an awful lot of luck that went their way. Scott Bennett and Joe Day, how often do they do that kind of calamitous thing? Almost never, especially Scott Bennett. Then you look at the penalty. The penalty, that was so Scott Bennett. That was a Darren Jones thing from last year, is lunging in, uncontrollably in the box. I mean, Scott, he was going away from goal as well. He wasn't an immediate danger. He didn't need to dive in, but I'm sure he knows that more than anyone. When you do something in the heat of the moment, it just happens. You got to be, how can I put it? You got to be understanding that these players are human beings as well as football players. So, we'll let him have that one, because like I say, he's put in plenty of great performances for us in a county shirt. I mean, going on to individual performances elsewhere that were pleasing, Frank Noble was a menace. Lamar Reynolds looked sharp, although he's got a lot to learn, mind. I mean, he's got to learn Football League. He's come through an academy made to get players who should be playing at a better level into that level. It's worked for Lamar Reynolds, because he was at Brentwood last year and was pretty much unplayable in that league. He's come here now, more on his level, still a lot to learn, but I tell you something, when the screw turns, we got a hell of a player on our hands, I think, in Lamar Reynolds. Then Matt Dolan spread the play around an awful lot. He commanded our forward playing from the centre midfield. Josh Labardi commanded the defensive aspect of our midfield, obviously getting back, getting the challenges in. We seem to be playing a pretty high pressing game as well, which was good to see. So we don't tend to see in League 2 that often, putting players under pressure, because it's a league where you get caught on the break quite easily. So when you put them under pressure in their own half, if they put a good ball across the top, they could catch you out. And when we were pushing that bit more forward, when it was 2-1, they did nearly catch us out a couple of times in that second half on the break. But I've got to be fair, right? With the exception of the individual mistakes, our defence looked pretty damn solid. I mean, O'Brien and Demetriou picked up from where they left off last year, and they were both superb. I was glad to see Robbie Wilmot get a start, although it would have been nice to see Pipey play. I think Wilmot's made that right wing back position his own. He's got a really good right foot on him, almost set Frank Noble up for a glorious headed goal, if not for a great save from their keeper. But their keeper, I'll come back to him. But Wilmot, he seems to have notched his game up a little. I don't know, he just looked really good down that right hand side. got to be fair, I thought he was great. I thought Sean Rigg had a really good game in the centre of midfield. Looking to exploit the left. It was like a three-man left-hand side with Rigg, Reynolds and Butler, and they all linked up really well. There was some really, really good play going there in that left-hand side. So that was obviously really pleasing to see. And then Joe Day in goal didn't really have to do much except pick the ball out of the net, because he didn't really have to put out many saves. Although he did command his area well. I think I got a good feeling that another pre-season working with James Bittner, but we'll see a further improved Joe Day. I think he could turn out to be one of the signings of the season, basically keeping hold of him, as obviously keeping a lot of our better players from last year. Dimitri and O'Brien, two great signings, and then obviously the new players look like, Dolan's improved the midfield tenfold, and obviously I was really glad for Mikulski to come off the bench and bag a goal. I thought it was Reynolds at first. No, see Mikulski, and he seemed really happy with it. And Charlie's glad to be here. The same Nouble went mental when he scored his goal. Fair play to him. He's finding it difficult to find a level. I think League 2 could be the level, that he finds himself, because he's got the potential. He always had the potential to play at a higher level, much, much higher level, but he's just never been able to cut it just yet. But the potential in him has obviously been seen by some of the best skates in the world. You look at Chelsea, he was obviously picked up to go into Chelsea's team. Obviously, Chelsea wanted to sign him on and keep him. West Ham got him and played him in the Championship. So we're talking about skating teams from Chelsea and West Ham now. I've obviously seen something in him, and obviously since it didn't work out at West Ham, he's never been able to find himself anywhere. But like I say, maybe he might find a level in League 2 and then push on from that. Same with Lamar Reynolds. Tom Owen Evans as well came on, looked bright. Look, Reynolds, Owen Evans, Nouble, I think they've got the potential of seeing 7 figures worth of transfer fees in the 3 of them come January, if all 3 press on as well as I think they might. We got Reynolds on 2 years, we got Nouble I think on 2 years, I think we've got Owen Evans on 2 years. So even if it's the summer, and we have a good season now, basically we're talking about 3 players that can completely change the face of our club. And I say this is only day 1, so I'm not going to get too carried away, but I've just got a funny feeling about them 3. Moving on to some of the negatives of yesterday, off the field. I put a comment on Facebook earlier, and I do believe people are completely getting the wrong impression of what I'm trying to say, right? And I am doing a Taff's Word on Football about this particular subject. We're talking about the use of pyrotechnics in the football stadiums. Obviously our club has come under much sort of, I wouldn't say so much scrutiny, but we're well under the Football League's radar at the moment for the use of pyrotechnics. Obviously we let off smoke bomb at Cheltenham, we let them off throughout the season. I think we let them off at the Plymouth Cup game. We let smoke bombs off at the last game of the season, and there was a series of them. There's obviously been pitch invasion, the pitch invasion and everything. The club, on obviously the Gary Bowyer incident with the sweet in the mouth. Obviously he tried making a joke of it, but the guy was a cock. He threw it completely out of proportion. But at the end of the day, the club's under the microscope at the moment. We need to be careful what we're doing, because what we don't want is for the limited time that our board of directors and our employees have got to do right by the club, we don't want them to have their time wasted on dealing with the Football League every week because somebody decided to throw a smoke bomb, somebody decided to go onto the pitch when we scored a goal, because somebody decided to go and try and pick a fight with the home fans. We don't want that kind of attention on us. But I agree with what a lot of people are saying with the fact that pyro isn't really that harmful. It increases the atmosphere, and obviously the way that we go about things, makes us that bit more intimidating. So we put the fear into people a little bit more, especially the travelling players, when they come to us and when we go there, they're in fear of us. And I get that, and I get that intimidation is a key tool that us fans can use to give our team an advantage, and I completely get that. But what we don't want is for a club of our size to have the little money that we earn taken off us because someone wanted to throw a frigging smoke bomb. And I like them. Don't get me wrong, I like them. I wish they were allowed because they do add to the atmosphere, as people have said. But while it breaks the rules, we just can't do it. Sorry, you just can't. And there's no justification you can offer. And saying no pyro, no party, as much as I agree with that, it just doesn't hold up at all. And we can't be justifying these kind of actions, you know, just because you think it adds something. And it does, I agree with you, it does, but it's not going to stand up. And we're going to get in the crap. Basically, the club's going to be, you know, our club's going to be the one that loses out. And ultimately, us as fans, that's how it's going to happen. I mean, the same kind of people that are trying to justify these actions are the same kind of people that'll point the finger at the club when we haven't got enough money to sign this player. Oh, why haven't we got enough money? You know, why aren't we spending our money on good players? Because your mates have just decided to throw a fucking smoke bomb, and the club's just been fined 10 grand. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a bit of common sense, you know, with it. I mean, like I say, I wish we could do smoke bombs. I'd let 10 smoke bombs off a game. You know, build a big frigging amber cloud and dance around in it and all that, you know. It would be immense, absolutely immense. But while it's breaking the rules and it's going to get our club into crap, we just can't do it, guys, right? So that's all I'm going to say about that. But like I say, ultimately, a positive day. It could have been a better result, you know, considering, you know, how much more superior we were to them. But like I say, you know, we started the season on a high. We got something to take forward now, you know, good individual performances, things that we can learn from, and the fans left the ground happy in the end, thankfully. So there we go. Next up, Tuesday night, Southend. I'm not going, I can't, I've got work till 5, there's no way I'm going to get to Southend in 2 3/4 hours, so no. But like I say, those going, make as much noise as you can. Let's see if we can get through the next round of the League Cup. And obviously I'm not going to be doing a match review on that one because I'm not going to be there to see it. But hopefully it goes well. And like I say, we get through. Anyway, thanks all for watching. And thanks, appreciate the support. People are getting more and more involved in these vlogs, the lives, everyone's getting involved in, and it's great. And I really do appreciate the support, guys. So thanks a lot. Anyway, that'll be all for now. So up the county and cheerio for now. Thanks very much.